What's up YouTube, today here for Zephyr Wargames, bringing you Draco Demise. So this is one of the versions of this deck that just came out in Maximum Crisis that is scheduled to be the IT deck. This is the archetype that is supposed to be the one that can make incredibly strong boards. And mainly this guy, Masterpiece, indestructible or immune to spells, traps or monsters, 2 of the 3. So without further ado, I'm going to crack straight into it. This is the Demise version. This is without an extra deck version as well. So you can play Domain of the Monarchs, and I will get to that when we get to the end and explain what else I would put into this deck. So without further ado, you play a triple Masterpiece, the True Draco Slaying King. This is a Don. This is the boss. This is insane. His base attack is 2950 and so is his defense. To tribute summon this card, the exact same as all the new Masterpieces, that and the True Dracos, stuff like Knuckle and stuff like that. You contribute continuous spells or trap cards you control, as well as monsters. This one, and only this one, unless you're playing Megatron, which I don't in this build, becomes unaffected by the cards that you tribute. So, like I said, if you tribute a monster and a spell, he's immune to those. Trap and spell, trap and monster, any combination, he's immune to those. Once per turn during either player's turn, if you control this, tribute summon monsters. So that is very important to remember, because you can revive these guys using the trap, but it's only when he's tribute summoned do you get his effect. You can banish one continuous spell or trap card from your graveyard, then target one other card on the field and destroy it. He is a continuous flipping trident, and he doesn't even need to worry about his attack. It's disgusting. Next up, I play triple Dynamite Knight, the True Draco Fighter. Now, this was called Dynamite Knuckle, which I prefer. Anyway, again, this one could be tribute summoned by a face-up continuous spell trap card if you wish. Once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summoned monster, you can take one True Draco or True King continuous trap card from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be activating it. And then rounding up, we have 2 Majesty Maiden, the True Draco Caster. This card is pretty much the exact same as Knuckle, but it searches out a True Draco card, a monster. So, once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summon monster, you add one True Draco or True King monster from your deck to your hand. So again, very, very good, and it has a lot of synergy with Knuckle and Masterpiece, because Knuckle then sets your trap, Majesty can then search out your Draco, your Masterpiece. You can then activate the traps effect, which when we get to it, you'll see it lets you tribute summon during your opponent's turn. Pop that, pop Majesty, you then get a Draco on board that's unaffected by monster effects and traps, which is badass. The best thing about these as well is, for example, if my opponent normal summons a card and activates its effect, I then chain Knuckle. If my opponent then chains another card effect, so like an MST or anything like that, within that same chain, I can then activate Majesty as chain link 4. Other than that, these just go off once per turn when your opponent activates a card effect. And then rounding up, the last card I play is Marinade, the True Draco's Phoenix. Now the reason I play this one is when you pop it with the field seal diagram, you get a 2 double search. So it's another searcher. It can also be brought back and shuffled back with all the card effects as well. You can take this out. This is just personal preference for a double search. That is purely it for now. Yeah, and like I said, this is the Demise variant, so it doesn't have the True Kings in it as much. Now onto the spells. Triple Dragonic Diagram. I love the artwork on this. Absolutely amazing. You've got a Crystron in the background there. You've got Zodiac Rapia, and then you have one of the Metaphos guys there. Basically, all True Draco and True King monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense, which is going to be a pain when mirrors come around, because you're both going to be getting the pluses. Anyway. Now, this is very, very interesting, and you have to remember this. The first time each tribute summoned True Draco or True King monster would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. So once per turn, it is not destroyed when it by battle, which is very, very important to remember. Because the main effect you remember is once per turn you destroy one other card you control or in your hand, and if you do, add one True Draco or True King card from your deck to your hand, so he's your continuous searcher. Now, because the field spell is so important, we play triple terraforming, and again, they're never going to be dead because you can always pop it with diagram. Next up we play triple True Draco Heritage. Again, very, very important card. So during your main phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of True Draco or True King card types, monster, spell, and trap sent from the field to the graveyard. So basically, it is a maximum of a free draw, minimum of 1. Now, what's really important you have to remember about this card as well, if you didn't know already, is even if this is your last card activated, if you've popped a trap on field and a monster on field, then you activate this, you still get the draw. It's not. This doesn't have to be active while those cards are removed from the field to get the draw. Also, the same with the spell, the other spells that you play. So the spell True Draco cards basically during your main phase. So during your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves tribute summon 1 True Draco or True King monster face up. So it gives you 2 normal summons per turn basically, both this and Disciples. Also, when the spells leave the field, so if this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you target 1 spell or trap card on the field and destroy it. You can only use the pop effect once per turn. So your other spell card is Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix. This is your Digust of Emerald, which is really, really good. You target up to 3 True Draco or True King cards in your graveyard, cards as well. Shuffle them into the deck, then draw 1 card. Again, it has the same effect during your main phase. You can do an additional normal summon or tribute summon, and then when it leaves the field, it pops back row. Next up, we play triple Draco Demise because you don't special summon in this at all, which is very, very important. And the draw cards you get are always going to help you for your next turns anyway. Triple Pot of Duality, again, you don't special summon, so you might as well max out. And then double Pot of Desires. So Pot of Desires, you play pretty much triple of everything, and Pot of Desires getting that +2 can really, really help push your game with this play. And you've got so much search ability, you make sure you have everything in your hand before you activate this anyway, so it's not as big of a gamble. And then finally, the 1/1 of Stormforth, because not only does it hurt your opponent being able to use the traps to tribute summon during your opponent's main phase, if you then activate Stormforth, even in the mirror, if they haven't made their card immune by spells, you're just going yoink and taking that card. And it puts your opponent down to a double negative. Especially then if you get Masterpiece on board, you're banishing a spell card or a trap card, True Draco spell or a continuous spell or trap card, sorry, and popping one of your opponent's cards. So it's very, very interesting, and that's what you've got to remember about Masterpiece as well, is it's just banishing a continuous spell or trap card, so it doesn't have to be the True Kings or Dracos ones, which when we get to the end of the traps, you'll understand why. So, we play triple True King Return. This is your continuous Call of the Haunted, basically, but bringing it back in defense mode. You can only use one of the effects per turn. When the traps are sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you get to pop a monster on the field. So that's both True King Returns and True Draco Apocalypse. So this one's individual effect is the Revival. The other one's individual effect is you halve your opponent's current attack. We'll get to that when we get to it. So during your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves tribute summon 1 True Draco or True King monster face up. You can only use each effect once per turn, but you can't use them in the same chain. So I can't activate the revival effect and then chain for the tribute effect. I then have to wait for the revival effect to end, or the cycle to end, then use the tribute effect, which is the exact same for True Draco Apocalypse, which again you play 3 of. And this card is, you target one other True Draco or True King card you control, destroy it, and if you do, the attack and defense of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls become half their current attack and defense, even if this card leaves the field. So basically, if you pop another trap, you're popping one of their monsters, but if you pop another spell of yours, you're popping one of their back row and halving all your opponent's attacks. So it's very, very helpful. Now moving on to a bit of a spicy tech thanks to Luke. So Luke's playing this in his build. This is where it comes down to personal preference and changes. So the way I see it is, this deck needs to have natural outs to bigger monsters. This needs to have natural outs to the special summon monsters, your stuff like the VFD dragons and stuff like that. So in this place, you can put whatever you prefer. You can put 2 Domain of the Monarchs, you can put 2 strikes, but with Luke's build, and which I think was a good idea, he's played 2 lose 1 turns. So you don't special summon monsters, so you don't have to worry about this affecting you as much. Especially when you're bringing back the Dracos in defense position with return, you're not shifting, and they don't have their effects anyway because they're not tribute summoned. This does not hurt you at all. The fact it's continuous as well, you get to banish it off of Masterpiece's effect, and you can tribute this off whenever you want to bring out one of your Draco monsters. So it's really, really not an issue for you, but it can be a massive issue for your opponent. Now what I'm saying is these can easily be strikes if you wish them to be. They can easily be another disruptive card. They can be D-barriers if you want as well. It really depends on what the meta is going to be like when it comes out. Because, I mean, if you're going to be playing up against loads and loads of mirrored true Draco Demises, they're not going to be accessing their extra decks. So you're going to be taking this stuff out anyway, and you're probably better off putting in strikes. But as it stands, this is pretty good because it's continuous as well. So it gives you multiple effects and uses on the field and off. We then wrap it up with one Imperial Order because, again, it's a continuous trap card. You can get rid of this whenever you want. It's not hard to deal with. It's not hard to get rid of. But if you go first and you draw this, set this, and you're going against a Mirror of True Dracos, you flip this, they're not doing anything. Their field spell's dead. All their spell back row's dead. The only thing they could possibly do to clear the Imperial Order is to tribute off getting one of their spells into the graveyard to then pop Imperial Order. But if you've got a Masterpiece on board, which again you probably will do because you're going to be stocking up, you're going to be able to interrupt that before it even happens. And then we finish off with a Solemn Warning, because it's one that stops all the tribute summons. It stops all that malarkey rather than strikes. And that is it. Very simple, very to the point, and unfortunately for you guys out there, it is very expensive. However, because everyone is going to be playing this, or a good 90% of the meta is going to be versions of the Dracos, because I mean there's so many variants. You've got Draco Zoo, you've got Draco True King, you've got Draco Dinos, you've got Draco Demise. There's so many options out there that rogue decks might be a very, very good catch you while you can kind of meta at this moment in time. I really like the artwork on these. I think it's all beautiful. I love the mixture. I mean, with Knuckle, you can clearly see that he's combined with one of the Dynamis cards. And then you have other stuff as well. Magic Spectres, as you can see with the Tornadoes. All the Dracos have kind of come together to battle the True Kings, which is kind of like the archetype story, which is very, very good. And like I thoroughly enjoy that. But for now, this is it. Now, in my personal opinion, for stuff you can play in the extra deck, I personally like Necro Valley, because Necro Valley really only negs this deck in the way of the revival with the trap. You don't rely on too much. I mean, it will neg your Masterpiece, banishing, stuff like that. However, I think if you're coming up against certain decks like Dinos, they rely a hell of a lot more on their graveyard effects to get out their Tyranno than you do. And it wouldn't be that bad of a gamble if you've got your Terraformings in play. As well as, obviously, of course, Domain of the Monarchs, but again, dinosaurs can get around that. And I think, personally, the two main decks that will be out there will be the Draco Dinos and probably Draco Demise. But again, that's just in my opinion. I hope this helps. I hope this gives you an idea. I will be doing, hopefully, a breakdown of how to beat Dracos, how to combat Dracos, and stuff like that for you guys out there, just because I know this is probably going to be a game player, a huge game player at Nationals, and possibly, unless an emergency ban list hits, it could very well be a big player at Euros. So I hope this helps. I hope you, if you have any options on this deck as well, please let me know. I am building it and just trying it out myself. So I am definitely open to alternatives. I do want to try and make it a little bit different, a little bit, you know, try my own touches to it to see how it works. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. If you like that video, why not check out our other videos available? We've got more deck profiles, pack openings, and of course duels. And don't forget to click on the most important button of all, that subscribe button, right in the bottom left hand corner.